1. Sawyer. Dusk had fallen when I pulled up to Stout and Spirit. The air was crisp and sharp, and it had been a great day for riding. Tonight would be perfect for a run with the pack. The moon wasn't full yet, but it would be in a week. Now was the time we felt the moon's magic starting to ramp up, fueling our shifts and calling forth the wild animals that came out when she was full. Already, I was antsy for the forest floor beneath my paws. To run with my brothers as a single unit, one predatory force with many faces and eyes. But I was also human, and had to deal with human responsibilities, like collecting rent, as I was doing now. Pretty fucking lame when the other half of your consciousness was a wolf. Still, it was one of the many jobs I had to do as the enforcer of Howling Death MC. As humans, we were a motorcycle club. As wolves, we were a pack. In both forms, we ran and protected the little corner of Shiftworld that our ancestors had founded centuries ago. I cut the engine on my Harley and stalled for a moment, keeping glued to my seat as I glanced up to the cheery tavern's front door. I was both dreading going in there and also eager to get this over with. This was my last business to collect rent from, because I'd been stalling and avoiding it all day. Time to face the music, though. I dismounted the bike and started to pull my leather gloves off as I headed for the door, pushing it open with my shoulder. The bar's interior was a stark contrast to the cool, quiet darkness of outside. Inside was warm, with rustic chandeliers made of barrel staves throwing light everywhere, and the place was filled with the regular crowd. A multitude of scents hit my nose as I approached the long wooden bar separating the kitchen from the seating area. Beer, wine, and liquor were the obvious smells. The people were an even more jumbled mix to my senses. There were fellow werewolves, of course. I also picked up the earthy magic of witches and the bright, sunshiny scent of angels. Ordinary humans were difficult to pick out in a crowd because they didn't smell like anything in particular, unless they liked wearing a lot of artificial fragrance. Thankfully, no fake scents assaulted my nose as I parked my ass on a bar stool. Shiloh appeared in front of me within seconds, giving me a cautious, tight smile.
"Hey, Sawyer,"
she greeted. "Evening, Shiloh," I returned, folding my hands on the bar top.
"What can I get you?"
"Nothing, thank you. Just here to collect." The witch's face drooped, which was just what I was afraid of. It made my gut twist with discomfort. When we last saw each other 2 weeks ago, I had ended the fun little fling we had going on. She wanted something serious, and I just wasn't the guy for that. When I wasn't with the pack, I was as close to a lone wolf as one could get. I didn't stay in town at the lodge like the rest of the unmated guys. Instead, I had my own place at the edge of the woods that I'd built myself. I had hammered every nail and wired every piece of electricity. I preferred my solitude, and that cabin was my sanctuary. Shiloh was a good woman, a kind soul, shrewd business owner, beautiful, and the sex we'd had was a good time. She deserved a guy who wanted a partner to add to his life, and that just wasn't me. I gave it my best shot, but the few nights she'd spent at my place just didn't feel right. She looked damn good wearing nothing but my bedsheets, sure, but sitting on my couch, making breakfast at my stove, using my coffee mugs? I got twitchy about someone else in my space, touching my things. It was always a relief when she left, which was the biggest sign I had to end things. I wanted to be honest with her, because she deserved nothing less. Still, I'd crushed her feelings, and that made me feel like a bastard. She'd done nothing wrong, except fall for a guy who couldn't love her back. Shit, at this point, I was all but convinced I couldn't feel that way about anybody. I liked being on my own too much to share that much of my life. So, I'd given Shiloh some space, hoping a couple weeks of distance would ease things. God knew she was a busy woman, running Stout and Spirit. But as she stared across the bar from me now, the look on her face carried the exact same hurt as when I'd broken up with her. Fuck. I should have let Trin collect rent tonight like he'd offered, but I wasn't the type to send others to do my work for me. Look, I just want to get out of your hair and leave you be, I said. I know we'll see each other around, but I don't want to hurt you, were the words I left unspoken. I wasn't Howling Death's enforcer for no reason. I was happy to shred throats with a single-worded command from my president. But when it came to women, shit, I took no joy in hurting them. Shiloh composed herself quickly, hardening up her face. She placed one hand on the bar, next to mine but not touching.
Can I get you to stay for one drink? When I have a second, I need to talk to you about something. Not about us.
She added quickly, I can't stay. I have plans tonight. I wanted to reassure her that it wasn't a date or having a woman over, but kept my trap shut. She wasn't my girl, so I didn't owe her that information.
Please.
Now she put her hand over my wrist, her expression imploring me.
I think it's important. Something you might want to bring up with the club.
That got my animal senses tingling, and I leaned forward to speak quietly. You in danger? The vampires and dragons had left well enough alone in recent months, although that could always change. You never knew what set those assholes off.
No, I don't think so. But I think it's something Howling Death should be aware of.
She looked left and right to the packed bar.
Can I get you a beer and come back in a second? On the house. I just gotta take care of some customers first.
What she needed was more employees, but I wasn't about to tell her how to run her business. Okay, I relented. IPA would be great. She poured the drink and set it on a coaster in front of me.
Be right back,
she said, before hurrying off. While I nursed my beer, I pulled out my phone and opened my text thread with Derek, the Pack Alpha and president of Howling Death. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, wondering if I should let him know something was up, or that I might be late to the pack run. After some internal debate, I locked the phone and shoved it back in the pocket of my leather jacket. No need to raise any false alarms. I'd see what Shiloh wanted to talk about first. She seemed stressed, but that could have been because of our breakup. She wasn't one to exaggerate or make false claims, so whatever it was possibly serious. I just needed to see for myself. I leaned back in my bar stool, tilting my head back to take another long pull of beer. It was a good fucking IPA, made in the state-of-the-art brewery up in Helio City, where the Angels resided. Who knew if it was due to money or magic, but those winged fuckers made some excellent fermented alcohol. Perfectly balanced, both hoppy and refreshing, clear as liquid gold. Good thing we had an alliance with them, and that this ambrosia wasn't wasted on the likes of vampires or dragons who couldn't appreciate it. A new scent hit my nose as I tipped my head back for another swallow, and I froze. No, it couldn't be. Not here. I set the beer down and lifted my head, taking another inhale while concentrating hard to filter through the many scents in the bar. That same one hit me, and a growl released from my throat. The bar patrons on either side of me immediately scooted away, as they should. I smelled the cloying mix of blood and earth in this bar, which could only mean one thing. Shiloh was harboring a vampire. What the fuck was she thinking? A fucking vampire? Here? One of our enemies on Werewolf land? No wonder she had looked so distressed. This couldn't wait, though. This business had to be taken care of. Now. My bar stool scraped back as I stood and my feet got moving. I cut through the crowd, following Shiloh's familiar scent through a swinging door to the back bar area. There she was, pulling a flat of glassware from a steaming dishwasher. "Where is it?" I demanded, stepping right up to her. "In your apartment upstairs?" She froze, her face red from exertion and also probably from embarrassment.
Sawyer, please calm down. It's not what it looks like. Well, smells like.
Are you telling me I don't smell a fucking vampire up on the second floor? And you wanted me to wait?
I can explain.
She set down the glasses and held her empty palms up to me, like trying to calm a wild animal. In a sense, she was.
She's hurt. She's resting.
Right above our heads, an anguished scream came over the hum of dishwashers and refrigerators. The bar patrons outside probably couldn't hear it over the noise, but that definitely came from Shiloh's apartment. "And now she's feeding on someone?" I hissed, marching for the back door that would lead to the staircase heading up to Shiloh's place. "How could you be so careless, bringing a vampire here?"
Sawyer!
"I can't believe your lack of judgment. You know the Alpha won't allow this." Frustration roiled in me as I stormed up the stairs. Shiloh was sweet and kind-hearted. I always knew that. But I never took her to be stupid enough to allow an enemy within our borders. The doorknob to her studio apartment turned easily when I tried it. Good. I was nearly pissed and impatient enough to break through without waiting for her to come unlock it. The scent of blood and earth hit my nostrils hard as I entered, triggering the start of a shift, which I happily allowed. My human teeth elongated into canines, visible from the snarl on my face and amplified by the growling in my throat. It didn't matter what kind of shape this vampire was in. They were going to regret coming within even 1 inch of wolf territory. My gaze swung back and forth across the room a few times, and I was temporarily confused. Where was the bloodsucker? It was all up in my nose, but missing from sight. Did it hear me storm up and hide in the bathroom with its prey? That had to be it. There was no other place to hide in this little studio apartment. I started in that direction when a flash of movement pulled at my peripheral vision, and then there was another terrified scream, followed by soft whimpering. It was coming from Shiloh's bed. I whipped around, gaze locking on the bump moving under the quilt. The shape was so small, I figured it was Shiloh's dog, or just regular rumpled sheets at first. But there was definitely someone under there. Cautiously, I moved toward the bed without making a sound. The quilt thrashed again, and I froze. There was the soft whimpering again. The sound fired up a different part of my wolf instincts that seemed unusual in this situation. The urge to protect, to fight off whatever was harming this distressed creature under the covers. Quick as a flash, I grabbed the edge of the quilt and yanked it back.
You can listen to the rest of the book in the Tempt Romance audiobooks app, available on the App Store and Google Play. The link to the book is in the description. Discover even more bestsellers and exclusive stories updated weekly, only in Tempt Romance audiobooks.